And here we go.
Thank you. The first frame. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
It's the reigning Shanghai Masters champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan, to get us underway for a place in the quarterfinals. And it's hello to Neil Foltz.
Yes, hello, good morning if you're watching in the UK or wherever in the world you are watching. It's going to be a very interesting game to watch. Shows you what he can do against O'Sullivan. I must admit, he came out, he looked a little bit in awe of the whole thing, didn't he? Yes, he had that good win yesterday against Zhou. This is a different ball game, as we know. And while he's very talented, you just feel this assignment might be something he will learn a lot from. Whether he can beat the Rocket, well, it will take something quite special for him to do so, I would say. But he was on the right end of a good win yesterday. But playing this man, something he's probably dreamed of. Very fresh-faced youngster, which is not something you can assume doesn't mean he's a fine player. But we'll see, we'll enjoy it. Both matches terrific. I mean, the other match, Luca Bracell and Zhou also gripping when you think of that World Championship semi-final they played. One of the most memorable games ever played at the Crucible.
And it's their first meeting since then, so an extra edge to the match on table 2.
Well, that was misjudged by some margin. Of course, his safety will come under scrutiny. Jinhao, he's going to find it tough. Everything about this suggests O'Sullivan is going to win, but we haven't even started yet, so we'll, I guess, keep a watching brief on it. I mean, obviously O'Sullivan lost at the Crucible 1 year to an amateur status player in James Cahill. These things happen. Although Cahill was very experienced. He's had wins before against top players. So, in some ways, should he get this win, it would be a bigger shock than any of that.
The victory over Zhang was a big enough shock as it is, given how well Zhang played last season, won the International Championship, made a maximum break in the final, beat Ronnie O'Sullivan on his way. Well, that's a mistake from O'Sullivan, so here's an opportunity. Yes, the black is out of commission, the pink's not great either, but if he can make his mark early in this match, that'll settle any nerves he has.
Zhou Jinhao, 1.
It's entirely understandable if Zhou gets caught up in the occasion today, playing by common consent the greatest player ever to pick up a cue. It's such a big deal for him, and that will probably occupy his mind as much as the actual match. He's obviously got to try and overcome that, but O'Sullivan showing no mercy in the early stages. He's got him glued behind the blue.
Yeah, I mean, that shot was on of O'Sullivan's, but you've still got to execute it. And yeah, I mean, look at O'Sullivan at this stage of his career. We know that he's the best scorer and break builder the game has ever seen. But we also know that he might just need to show all of his safety skills, of which he has many. A lot of that off the great Ray Reardon. And, you know, let's be honest, he knows at this stage of his career, O'Sullivan, that maybe you have to show many more aspects to your game than potting and scoring, especially against someone who's, well, completely inexperienced at this level, let's be honest. You know, you search through Zhou, Jinhao, and you don't see a great deal in the way of form apart from that last win. But it will be difficult for the seeded players. I mean, obviously we lost Jack Jones in the draw earlier. Somebody who's got virtually no form. Played in the Shanghai Masters, was whitewashed 4 years ago. His opponent, Jinhao, he got the job done against the World Championship finalist of the spring. So, you know, it is a reminder that it's difficult for overseas players to come to the UK and play and win, and it's difficult for the UK-based players to play abroad. That was a nice shot, nice plant. You know, it's not easy, this game, especially when you're out of your comfort zone. And of course, you might be watching somebody in 10 years' time will be a world champion himself. Who knows? We've got to start somewhere. Those old pictures of Ronnie O'Sullivan as a kid being had a picture taken with Steve Davis. Steve would never have known what he was seeing close hand that day in those pictures. All the youngsters can go on to become great players. Now, the red on the right is in play here. If this safety shot is not struck perfectly, you can hit that red. Sullivan is a master, and he's avoided it. Don't know what sort of form he's in, of course, Sullivan. We haven't seen much of him. I know he's been playing a few exhibitions and doing a bit of this and that. Played Ding in a series of matches after the championship ended. But we'll get a handle on where his game is at. I know he's been practicing, but you wouldn't expect anything else of him.
Perilously close to dropping, which would have made O'Sullivan's next shot a good deal easier. As it is, awkward queuing. Yes, he spent a day at the Wimbledon Tennis Championships a couple of weeks ago, O'Sullivan. I believe he met someone he looks up to, Novak Djokovic, the finalist, 7 times champion. Even for O'Sullivan, that was awkward queuing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those shots, that last one, where you're almost playing from corner to corner. So you're, someone did once tell me how far it would be from that left corner to the bottom right. It's more than 12 feet. Obviously, it's about 13 feet away. So it's the definition of a long pot there, and awkward queuing too.
He had one of the best seasons of his career, of course. Last season, O'Sullivan won 5 titles, including his 8th UK and 8th Masters.
One.
Well, he likes a plant anyway. He's knocked in 2 already, and that one is potentially one that could be quite valuable. That's gone in. It looks to be on a choice of colours here. The pink to middle, definitely. So this all of a sudden looks like a chance. If he's on the pink to middle, it would be nice to get it back onto its own spot.
Eight. Nine. 16.
Well, he looked a bit starstruck when he's introduced. Let's see if he can just put all that aside. It's quite a nice start he's made. Shame he's not better placed on this brown ball. If he can knock it in and come around the angles, he could be on his way to becoming favoured in this opening frame. Big shot, this. Nowhere near it, unfortunately. That was a moment there early in this match.
Zhou Jinhao, 17. One.
It's not a very good shot from O'Sullivan. Great touch player that he is. He hasn't really landed on that red to right corner very well. He might still have to play it, but he's feeling his way into this match, no doubt. Condition on the match table will always be a little more reactive, perhaps, than a practice table, any other table.
Conditions were immaculate yesterday.
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
We
8.
had centuries galore, 3 in a row from Zhou Yulong, who eventually got the better of Barry Hawkins, who himself knocked in a 1-4-1. John Higgins made a couple of tons as well to move to 998 for his career.
Rather a scruffy start to this match, isn't it? Not ball's gone slightly awkwardly. 1 or 2 shots have been missed. O'Sullivan will be eyeing up behind the yellow here. Just a little bit too much on it. It's very inviting where the yellow, green and brown are placed, and the blue in there, for a horrible snooker that you could get.
One.
Pity he's not straighter on this.
Eight.
Let's judge the pace of this right, and the table is just racing. And he's almost on the black to middle rather than into the right corner as he meant. Excellent. Very good.
The crowd enjoyed that one.
16.
Well, if he could win the opening frame, what a nerve settler that would be.
17.
That was another good pot. With each pot he makes, he's going to grow in confidence. He spotted something on the cue ball, so Peggy Lee will give it a clean. You can tell he's just soaking up his surroundings here. Of course, he did play yesterday, but to play O'Sullivan in front of a crowd like this, something else.
As a player, you can see that he's got something about him. He's got lots of scope for improvement. He's probably going to grow a little taller. He's only just 16, still growing.
$25. $32. $33. Zhou
Well,
Jinhao,
that'll do.
23.
It's a handy lead. And if you can't pop them all in one go, and you're playing the greatest player that's ever picked up a cue, stick him in behind the brown like that. So it's a little tough for the Rocket. He's left this red possibly. Shows Jinhao a real chance to take the opening frame here. I like the way he played that. He committed fully to the shot. Didn't worry about missing it and leaving it over the pocket. Best chance of potting it was to play it gently. Saying, speaking off mic to Philip, it does remind me a little bit of another Chinese player, Wu Yizi, who's got a lot of scope for improvement. His height, his backswing is long.
9.
And he's clearly talented, so I'm enjoying watching the early stages of this match. And if you're going to get off to a good start, it really does settle things. He'll feel in the match if he wins this frame. There you saw the backswing right the way back to his bridge hand. Fabulous shot.
16.
Well, he did look nervous when he walked in, entirely understandably, but he's looked composed in the frame. Yes, it's been scrappy.
Zhou Jinhao, 16, frame conceded.
But that will have settled him down extremely well. Just the tonic for Zhou Jinhao.
Zhou Jinhao to break.
16-year-old Zhou Jinhao, who's taken the opening frame against Ronnie O'Sullivan, having defeated Zhang Anda, the reigning international championship winner from last season. First to 6 to go through. And the winner of this will play the winner of the match. We'll bring you later between Ding Junhui and Ali Carter. Big prize money here, of course, in Shanghai. The winner will collect £210,000. This event now invitational, of course, for the top 16, followed by the next 4 highest ranked Chinese players, 4 wildcards, making up the total field of 24 at the outset. Formerly a ranking event. Slightly rueful smile from Zhou as he went for the long road, didn't get too close.
No, he was guilty of overhitting that. I mean, you do not need to hit the balls at that speed on these super fine reactive cloths. And that's something, of course, he will learn. There is no need. But you can get a little excited out there. We've all been there, in fact. We do want to hear the ball hit the back of the pocket at speed, making that thudding sound. Might prove costly.
Eight. Nine. Sixteen. 17. 24. 25.
So, chance here to get from yellow to red. It could go into the bunch, but playing on the loose one. The reds are sort of protecting each other on that left side, so he has overhit, though. Finished in the one place where nothing is available. A little grimace, if you like, from O'Sullivan there. He's on this red, but the cue ball is coming back to the bulk end from potting it.
28.
Good pot. Keep the break going. Yeah, I mean, I find those shots always very difficult. His bridge hand was very close to that red on the left of the table. I so he had to cue down on the
31.
ball. You're worried about whacking the red up the table with your back arm. I've done it myself. And that's why you end up out of position. A couple of little
Ronnie
things
O'Sullivan, 31.
brought that on.
O'Sullivan's only real disappointment last season was his quarter-final exit at the World Championship when he was looking to make it a record-breaking 8 Crucible titles to go with his 8 UKs and Masters, but he was denied by an outstanding performance from Stuart Bingham in that match. 13-10 he lost. Aside from that, it was, even by his standards, an outstanding campaign. Not thrilled, though, with the way that break came to an end.
One.
And Zhou back in.
Eight.
Well, a difficult shot this. Very difficult to middle. Yeah, wouldn't that have opened the door had it gone in, but the flip side is he's probably cost him the frame, because this is now a wonderful chance. I think it was the right shot. He just had to get it, basically.
One.
It would have unlocked the frame.
Eight. Nine. Sixteen. 17.
So now just a question of finishing the job off in this frame. He was presented this chance and it felt like he wasn't going to waste the opportunity when it came. And there's a bit more to do.
$30. 31.
So this red for one each.
38.
Yeah, I'm playing on the brown here. I know the frame is over just because it clears that pocket for the red, just this side of the brown ball. So a couple of fairly open frames, let's say. A chance to have come
42.
for either player. Now what's he going to use here? Some kind of extended spider, or can he reach it? Sullivan, you feel, is just easing his way into the event. But I guess for the sake of this match, Sullivan is a massive favourite, so for the first two frames to be shared, it kind of makes the match a little more interesting than it might have done. Because you do feel O'Sullivan is absolutely... I mean, he must be a red-hot favourite to win it. Based on everything we know, really. Clearly, Zhou Jinhao is a talent. Whether a talent alone will be enough seems unlikely,
48.
but the match score is 1-1.
On his second Shanghai Masters in 2017, which was his 30th ranking title that he beat Trump. And then the following year it became an invitational event when he beat Hawkins. And then, of course, last year when it returned to the calendar after a 4-year absence, he saw off the then reigning world champion Luca Brissell.
$58. 60. 63. 67. 71. 2, correction. 78.
'Ronnie O'Sullivan clears the table.
85. Third frame. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Ronnie O'Sullivan breaks off frame 3 of a possible 11. First to 6 to go through. The winner to play Ding or Carter, who are in action later.
Be interested to see if O'Sullivan can just tighten his game up here and sort of pick off chances from Zhou, which is kind of how you see things going potentially. Well, of course, Ronnie O'Sullivan can win if it's an open match as well, but he might not want to play into the hands of the youngster by going down that route.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
That safety shot was short of pace and ill-directed. It would have hit the ping had it gone at the required speed. Peggy Lee making the final adjustments here to the ball replacement. Just got to aim a bit further down the cushion. It's quite a big target, quite honestly, and he's hit it this time. Well, he tried to avoid the double kiss there with a bit of right-hand side on the ball, but it didn't stop And the double kiss happening. If he can get an angle here on his colour to get the reds open.
1.
Yeah, he's a little straight on the blue, so that option is not open to him. In fact, I don't see how he can get on the red here. Whichever colour he takes. He's knocked in 2 plants already. I'm not sure if there's anything else like that. The bottom red might just creep in, but he didn't get very close to it. I think it's very, very tight anyway.
Zhou Jinhao.
So it's quite a weak shot that he played to end that little contribution. I think one thing he will learn over the years, and of course every snooker player does it, you have to make every shot count at the highest level. He's given away a chance there, which was pretty much an unforced error.
1.
Extremely rare to see O'Sullivan go into the bunch of
8.
reds and not land nicely on one, but appears to be end of break.
Yeah, I think as soon as he hit it, you almost heard him tap as if he knew it was going to be stuck in the bunch rather than beyond something.
Yeah.
He's asking for, I think, the spider from under the table. Try and get that cue ball away from the red somehow.
To say it was a lucrative season for O'Sullivan last time out would be an understatement. 1.2 million and change won on the table.
Yeah, I mean, he won here, didn't he, to start with, and then
8.
all of the high prestige events leading up to the World Championships, he seemed to nab. To have won the UK Championship and the Masters. And that doesn't happen very often for a player leading into the Worlds.
1.
Brilliant shot. Of course, O'Sullivan also won the World Grand Prix. But when it came to the Crucible, maybe there wasn't much left in the tank.
Just about the only thing he hasn't done to win all 3 so-called triple crowns in a single season, which very much looked on before Stuart Bingham had other ideas in the last 8 in Sheffield. But here's another chance for Zhou.
8.
That's a good pot.
He's quite impressive, isn't he? You know, he's holding his own here in the early exchanges of this match. You can see that he knows how to play. Good win against Zhang Anda, of course, who had such a good season the last campaign. It's going to be work in progress, but what I see so far, I like.
13. 14. 19. 20.
Well,
Zhou Jinhao.
that will
20.
disappoint him because he was going nicely there.
Yeah, it was, I think he was hit it wide to get the cue ball up the table. He's looking at the replay on the screen. He won't like what he sees. It's almost, he didn't quite have the angle to stun off the cushion, so he almost automatically hit a wider angle, thinking the pot would still go in. ultimately Mr. Black off the spot. That's what it comes down to.
Seven. Eight. Thirteen. Fourteen.
Well, just on this
16.
red, but it's just a question of getting onto his colour from here. Stunning the cue ball round and up the
17.
table. It's a nice shot, that, because the edge of the reds could have been in the way. Doesn't want to go in behind the black. That would be his biggest worry here.
22.
Well, that seems to be what's happened. Certainly on the red he wanted to play. He might be able to get to one of the three up the top of the table. So he'd be annoyed there. The cue ball ran, but it did.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Don't suppose
22.
he ever thought it was going to finish him behind the black, but that's what happened. Well, he made contact, very thin contact that it was. It just almost wavered, didn't it, that red? Not much more. So these safety shots, very important. Sullivan playing a safety long pot, shot to nothing. Surely rolling behind the green, not take the brown on or anything too flash here. Find out more about his opponent's ability to defend.
Foul. And miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4. Foul. And miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
The last effort was a very good one, just finishing short, but the line was absolutely perfect. So if he could repeat that with just a bit more on it, he would have weathered the storm here, because clearly he's in a spot of bother. But the last escape was well played. And Sullivan expects to come back to the table based on the last shot. And it's the same again, it's not reaching. It's a good effort, but
Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
the points are starting to mount now. This is better pace. Yeah, so he's okay. He conceded 12 points, which means he's well and truly in the frame still, and he's got over that little predicament that he was in. 21 behind. The frame's still up for grabs, although Sullivan might keep him at long range here. That's another good safety. Oh, that's a fantastic pot by any standards, terrific. Which means this opportunity is a very telling one. If you could take it, you know, yes, there's an awkward red. The black's a bit close to the right cushion, but that shouldn't be a problem at this stage. It's not something you'll need. But of course, if the black was on its spot, the bottom red would be easier with the black to follow it. So all of those things are thrown into the equation.
He's missed a couple with the rest already. No problems this time, and what a red it was to get in, and given the state of the table, decent chance. He's run a bit further than he wanted to, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, the cloths are very quick now. He's looking at this blue. Goodness me, this is going to have to go in. What a shot to take on here. Oh, my goodness. What a shot. Wow, I mean, I can't think of many tour players who would have taken that on as opposed to trickling behind yellow, but he absolutely thundered it home.
And you saw O'Sullivan's reaction.
Well, he can pot a ball. The more I see of him, the more I realise his cue ball is loose, but his long potting is full of the exuberance of youth.
Two outstanding pots in this visit. Can he keep it going? Get himself 2-1 in front?
Yeah, further example that clearly that is not where he wanted to finish, so I don't think he intended to play safe, but because you're going to have to here now. But that's a good safety shot. That's well played.
Zhou Jinhao, 17.
Shame the cue ball isn't further behind the pink, or the red didn't stop quicker than it did. He'd have had O'Sullivan on the ropes then. Very much up for grabs this frame, and O'Sullivan has obviously seen somebody who seems not to have any fear. Some of the shots he's playing. It's not bad either. Very enjoyable, isn't it, seeing somebody new. He's had a win against a top 16 player. He's only just 16. And he can pot a ball, goodness me.
Foul. And a miss.
Wow, black first.
Zhou Jinhao, 7.
What do you do here? I think you play this. I don't think you have it put back. The frame is very much up for grabs if this goes in. Can he reach it? Goodness, leaning right across the table. Oh, yes, he can. So, pink to yellow. He's going to take a good shot here. Oh, wow. What a shot that is. This is fantastic. That is as good as you'll see. If Judd Trump had played that, we'd have been talking about it for a little while.
9.
And that is not so good. So it's a mixed bag here
What a shame. A trio of outstanding shots at the back end of this frame. And he was one positional shot away from winning it. Now he's missed the green.
Foul.
Where's the cue ball going to end up? On a free ball, surely.
Jinhao, 9. Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Well, if it's not, he's very lucky. Because it looks like it should be a free ball. In fact,
dear.
it has been called as one.
Well, that is a shame, isn't it? Because
Pink ball.
it was a terrific bit of skill to get behind the yellow, only to then snooker himself.
Well, I think what happened was, he instead of potting the yellow and with topspin, he actually half stunned it, and that's why the cue ball didn't travel up the table.
3.
So that was a sloppy shot on the back of a couple of brilliant
6.
ones. So that's probably what you're going to get from a youngster with not much nous, but a fantastic potting eye.
10.
This is the one that got away for the youngster.
All part of the
15.
vertiginous learning curve at this stage of the 16-year-old's career. Moments of brilliance, but then an error has
21.
proved very
Ronnie
expensive,
O'Sullivan.
and Ronnie O'Sullivan mops up to the pink to retake the lead here in Shanghai. The first
34.
to 6 to go
Zhou
through
Jinhao to break.
to the last 8. Prize for the winner, a meeting with either Ding Junhui or Ali Carter. They'll feature later. We'll bring you that match. Judd Trump is playing Mark Williams in that session. The winner of that one will play the winner of the match on table 2 at the moment, Luca Brissell and Zhou. We level at 1 frame all. Frame 3 still in the balance, although Luca's back in and looking favourite at the moment to move back in front.
It's very much a mixed bag, isn't it, so far? Watching Zhou Jinhao, I mean, there's some really good signs that he knows how to play. An incredible potter of a ball. But the other side of it is, if you give this man chances, you're going to come unstuck, which, let's be honest, is a completely inexperienced 16-year-old with... If you trawl through the records, there isn't really anything to go on other than his match previously against Zhang. But it's enjoyable to watch, whatever the result.
8. 9. 16. 17. 24. 25.
So early stages of this break on reds and blacks. Chance to develop the reds in the centre of the table. Sullivan has not been too concerned whether he makes 147s. It's been a while since his most recent, but here in Shanghai, where he's loved and very well looked after on and off the table, he might see fit to continue if the chance comes his way on reds and blacks. He can't make them at will, clearly, but he might just stay on blacks. For now, though, his eyes are fixed on somebody in the audience who's putting him off. The theory of mine has gone completely. He's taken the pink. So no 147. Got a match to win.
$39. 40. $47. 48. $55. 56.
Well, he's almost at the point where this frame is in the bag. It was a poor safety
62.
shot from Zhou Jinhao,
63.
which brought this about. And as Philip said, it's a steep learning curve for a young player. He is playing the very best the game has to offer, but you could understand how someone like Zhou would be a very dangerous wild card opponent for anybody on what we're seeing.
69. 70.
And the thing about Ronnie O'Sullivan is when he gets the chance, he does his damage so quickly. Made an 85 break.
78.
And now this one, so fluent. Well, he may have got
Sullivan,
a
78.
heavy contact there.
Frame conceded.
Doesn't matter though, there's only 59 left. The frame's conceded. And Ronnie O'Sullivan goes to the mid-session interval on this second day of the Shanghai Masters in good. And so we return to table one. Ronnie O'Sullivan with a 3-1 lead. Maybe a little fortunate to be 3-1 up. Couple of fluent breaks from him, but Zhou Jinhao could easily have shared that quartet of frames. First to 6 to go through, of course.
Well, Zhou Jinhao was the more aggressive player of the two, which you wouldn't have thought against O'Sullivan. And O'Sullivan almost had to tie him up because he potted some quite incredible long pots. Of course, he may just be waking up if you're watching from the UK and not seeing the start, but he's a 16-year-old who's done very little except for win a match against Zhang Anda. But he potted a few incredible balls and put a bit of fear into O'Sullivan, but he couldn't finish the job in a couple of the frames. He could easily be 3-1 up. Ultimately, he isn't, and O'Sullivan, not
So
unexpectedly,
he's
has
here in
got this
Shanghai.
match
Thank
sort
you.
of much
First round, John Higgins to break.
in his control,
It's
it
John
seems.
Higgins against Liu Haoshan for a place in the last 16
But there's a real
of the
talent,
Shanghai
I think, in the
Masters,
making
the
here.
best of 11 frames, the first to 6
Plays without any fear, it appears.
to go through.
Foul.
Well, I think that tells you how fast the table is playing. I thought at never at any point thought that was going to reach the pocket, but it just trickled in. Possibly in behind yellow here around the angles with the target for O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan liked that shot. He tapped the table. Quite congested on that left side. That's a good safety shot, that really is, from there. That's the best we've seen today.
A facet of O'Sullivan's game that is overshadowed by his break building ability, but no less important. Something I think he honed in that period that he was working with the great Ray Reardon. He showed him another side of the game, a way in which he could become an even more complete player.
O'Sullivan is not tempted into playing that bottom red into the left corner. But he has made a mistake, so Zhou has taken the advantage. Somebody's in off, so unexpected. Certainly in the left middle. How did he go in off in there? Well, he wasn't able to take advantage, and he's gifted O'Sullivan this good chance now.
Meanwhile, Zhou has actually pinched that fourth frame on the final black against Luca Bracell. A superb rest shot on the final pink, very thin cut. And he's knocked in the black as well, so it was looking likely to be 3-1 Bracell. In fact, honours even at their interval. Coverage will continue on Discovery Plus when they return.
Well, getting the black back onto its own spot will be
8.
well worth it for O'Sullivan.
Nine. Sixteen. 17. $24.
And once again, a chance to stay on the black spot here if he wants to. But again, he'll go up immediately
35.
to eye up the pink, although putting the pink on its own spot might just tie it up further down the line. For now, he's playing on the pink because it's a more accessible shot from pink to red, I think. Seen the possible plant in there also, which will come in very handy. Two reds to the left corner set up.
31.
Well, I think he played what looked to be a very, very good shot there, but the
38.
cue ball has just gone and gone. It looks like the bed of the table is like lightning, quite honestly. I mean, that looked a superb positional shot.
39.
Shouldn't really have had to play from there. I mean, Sullivan has played snooker all around the world in all kinds of conditions, but even he is finding this table a little bit on the rapid side. Look at that for a shot. That is a stunning positional shot from where he was.
One thing you never hear from O'Sullivan is complaints about conditions or kicks,
46.
whether the table's sluggish or very fast, as this one clearly is. He just gets on with it. In fact, I think he sees differing conditions as a challenge that he embraces, enjoys working out the puzzle of how to get the very best out of his game,
53.
whatever the table conditions are.
It's a strange one, isn't it? You tend to hear players complain if the
54.
table's sluggish or slow, but when they're super fast, like this one is, you don't hear that kind of complaint. People mention it, but they don't say it's a bad thing. But clearly, if the ball's never stopped rolling, it makes it difficult positionally.
61.
But as you say, O'Sullivan
62.
tends not to get embroiled in all that. Whatever the table's doing, he just plays. Finds a way of adapting.
$69.
Made breaks of 85 and 78 before the interval. And
70.
another meaty contribution here, which is going to extend his lead. Zhou Jinhao clearly has a lot of potential.
77.
We've seen moments of excellence from him, a
78.
couple of breathtaking pots, but inevitably he's rough around the edges in terms of his match play. Very, very early stages of his snooker journey. And Ronnie O'Sullivan, who may in theory be coming towards the final stretch of his own,
85.
is nevertheless playing at a level which rivals anything he's ever produced. 5 big titles last season. He's not thrilled with that one,
85.
but 85 more than enough to account for frame 5 here in Shanghai. So got Judd Trump against Mark Williams. All of that to come from 12:30 UK time, but in the meantime, Zhou Jinhao with a lot of work to do. 4-1 behind to the great Ronnie O'Sullivan. First to 6, of course, to go through to the quarterfinals here.
Yeah, it was an early opportunity. I wonder if O'Sullivan will pot this red and go into the bunch and take a risk here. He usually plays with great control, Ronnie O'Sullivan, but here he might just chance his arm. And I think if he's going to play it, he probably needed to play it at twice the speed of that, and Cuba was always going to get buried, I think, at that kind of pace. Maybe because he was queuing over the black, he couldn't hit it any harder. Get the feeling that right now O'Sullivan is in cruising mode, but there's been a few moments when Zhou has put the wind up him a little bit, quite honestly. Some of the shots he's played.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
So again, if you are just tuning into this match and you haven't seen it from the outset, Zhou played some stunning pots early on, probably pots that he had no right to even go for, and he knocked them in, got himself to a position of 1-all. Should easily have been 2-1 up. He just made quite a bad mistake positionally when he was clearing, having potted some incredible balls, but not much since from him.
Well, that's an example of what Neil was talking about. Yes, there have been plenty of mistakes, but some golden nuggets thrown in for good measure, and that is a wonderful pot again. There's a lot to work with this young man's game. That's very evident.
Well, there's raw talent there, isn't there? That's the point. I mean, it's okay saying, well, you've got all the other attributes, you know, your safety and everything, but if you haven't got the raw talent in the first place, then you're at a disadvantage. He's got that, and it's something to build upon.
Eight.
Played that well. He's not quite on the red, but again, he did it earlier. He rolled a red down the right cushion, which made me think that he committed fully to the shot. Now, we've already mentioned a few times that the table is lightning quick, the bed especially. A few shots have just ran and ran. Even O'Sullivan has been called out by it. So now from yellow to red, he's going to have to get the pace right here. If you've got a choice of reds, it's okay.
18.
Well, he's got up once from this. I can't see what the problem would be. Certainly better than any other red he could play.
19.
Not bad. He'll have to use the bunch of reds here to screw in and out of those. Ah, lovely. Really nice shot. Showed a little bit of class there. Nice touch.
26.
And then he misses that one after all of that. He pots all the difficult ones and misses the easy ones.
That's a real shame, isn't it? Because he was going nicely there. Made a break of 76 on his way to that stunning victory over Zhang Anda. But the groans from the crowd told the story. Bit of a gift for O'Sullivan.
Seven. Eight. $15. 16.
Just screwed right through the bunch. Because that side of things is very difficult, but not for O'Sullivan. It's one of the things he finds easiest. Break building and scoring, it's so instinctive to him. Learned it at a very early age. And of course we'd say about Zhou here that, you know, he's only 16 years of age, but, and of course that is young, but O'Sullivan at 16 was an extraordinary talent. So it's not as if anything new in that.
30.
Won the sport's second biggest prize when he was 17. Still
31.
the youngest ever ranking event winner, O'Sullivan, but to win the UK Championship and beat the great Stephen Hendry to do it handily at that age, and then 30 years and change later to be doing what he's doing, having just won a record-breaking 8th UK title, testament
37.
to the extraordinary longevity of O'Sullivan, going for his 80th professional title this week in Shanghai.
38.
Played a good shot there just to run the cue ball through the two reds. I think it was a more difficult shot than it first looked. Yeah, you think that he's almost in sort of cruise mode at this stage. But it wasn't
44.
quite like that in the early frames.
45.
Just getting to grips with the conditions of which they are absolutely super responsive. These tables and mightily quick.
$52. 53.
So another red required. A colour to follow it will be very handy.
60.
It was a very promising start to this frame from Zhou. He was going nicely, missed a short-range red out of the blue. And O'Sullivan once again very adept at picking up the pieces.
$61.
So it's going to be 5-1, which is a scoreline that would probably have been
67.
predicted at the outset, but the
68.
frustration for Zhou is that it could have been rather different.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't tell the full story, does it, 5-1? It tells you that you're seeing, you know, a master up against an apprentice, but I do like what I see from Zhou. You know, he looks a real talent,
76.
although You've kind of been there before, haven't we, with young players from anywhere in the world, from the UK, from all parts. Talent is not always transferred to anything else, but it's been quite interesting to watch him play. He's very talented and
79.
extremely, if you like, the expression you'd use, green. You know, he's not quite the finished article yet. A long way from it, but you'll learn a lot from this match, win or lose.
A break of 79 from Ronnie O'Sullivan to put him on the cusp of the quarterfinals here. He leads Zhou. Ronnie O'Sullivan, one frame away from
70.
a quarter-final spot once again here at the Shanghai Masters. Remember, he's not lost a match in this tournament since 2016, when Michael Holt beat him. Yes, the tournament wasn't staged for 4 years, but he's going for his 5th in a row, his 6th in all. He has absolutely dominated this tournament. The aforementioned Ding Junhui, the only other multiple winner of this event, and that's dropped in. This table's like an ice rink. And when you're 5-1 behind against the GOAT, you need all the help you can get.
Zhou Jinhao, 1.
Well, while we were watching a replay of the fluke,
Touching ball.
Zhou has missed the black, so happily for him, no damage done. He's not left O'Sullivan. It's another missed opportunity, though, and he's had quite a few to have made this scoreline a good deal closer. Some brilliant pots along the way, but errors as well, like that one. But that's another excellent pot. And another really good shot,
6.
perfect position. So can he now maintain concentration and make something sizable?
7.
Clearly he's going to have to disturb the Reds in the near future. Here's a chance to do that. Playing on the loose one.
12.
Yeah.
Zhou Jinhao,
Missed a
12.
few with the rest today.
Well, there wasn't a great deal he could do there, but play the shot he did. Yeah, if he could put some distance between the cue ball and the Reds, it would be handy, although he's got to try and protect the two close to the left corner. So does he want to even take that risk? You know, I think he feels that if he can tighten his game up a bit, and you know, something he can do when he wants to, O'Sullivan, you know, he will be fed chances. I mean, I think that's for sure against an inexperienced player. He has left these Reds on, so that was not part of the plan, although from under the cushion, it's still not an easy pot to start with. No, he didn't play that is for sure. He certainly wouldn't have played off the other red. If anything, it suggests he hit the wrong side of the red he meant to, but he might thunder this blue in from what we've seen earlier in the match. No, not this time. He's the definition of a raw talent, I think. Playing against the greatest ever, so it is a tall order. It always was. And at times he's just slightly scared O'Sullivan, but not to the point where he's got any real chance of beating him, it seems. You think of O'Sullivan's career, he's seen most of it, and if not all of it. He's done it all. He's almost been the player that Zhou is, but I think at the age of about 14, when O'Sullivan was like that, he was an incredible talent even then. In the same way that Judd Trump at 12 was beating senior players and was waiting to be old enough to turn professional. O'Sullivan was the same. Now you can be a pro aged under 16, although most of the time it's better to wait. And Stephen Hendry turned pro at 16. Everyone thought it was madness. He was too young. A couple of years of getting good results and a few disappointments, and of course he ended up one of the greats of all time. Incidentally, I think Stephen Hendry is in Shanghai at the moment. I saw on his social media that he is getting the bullet train into Shanghai. Whether he's coming in to see the snooker at any stage, I don't know.
4. Five.
By the way, Zhou, we made a 70 break in that 5th frame against Luca Brissell on table 2, so C now 3-2 up. And we will be joining that match if this one ends in the near future.
Oh, this is the red you want to get out of the way, the one next to the black, to free it up completely.
13. 20. 21. 28. 29.
Well, it could be that he's played his last shot, but I have to say it's been a joy to watch him. Sort of unbridled talent, but there is a long way for him to go. But there is something that's very likeable about his game.
36.
Sullivan possibly looking to win here in Shanghai again. Michael Holt was the last player to beat him, and that goes back a long way.
37.
Obviously, the pandemic meant we didn't have this event for so many years, but either side of it, it's been O'Sullivan's. Because it was a ranking event back then as well. But they always wanted the old school draw where it was a layered event when it was ranking because they wanted the top
44.
players in. Now, to ensure that, it became
45.
this prestigious invitational, which is almost the Chinese version of the Masters, which is at the Ali Pali in London.
45. Speed delay on.
He's just asking what he has scored. He's not allowed to ask the referee what the difference is, because the referee is not allowed to inform a player of the points difference. That is for the players to work out.
$52. 53.
It's been very efficient from Ronnie O'Sullivan, hasn't it? 4 breaks of over 70 already. A couple of 85s, 78, 79, and now what looks likely to be a match-winning contribution here. 45 in front,
59.
so this red is match ball.
60.
Yeah, I mean, he's been off of the competitive table for quite some time, O'Sullivan. After the World Championship, that series of exhibitions with Ding Junhui. He's probably just finding his feet. He'll still be the man to beat in this
60.
Shanghai Masters. Zhou carrying on with a snooker's required. A very tall order to even get penalty points, never mind go any further with it. Maybe he's run his race.
It definitely could have been a less lopsided scoreline than it has been. But that's the thing about taking on a great like O'Sullivan. If you don't make the most of your opportunities, you're going to be punished, as he has been regularly. And there's still plenty of gears for O'Sullivan to go to in the rounds ahead. In the meantime, as the red drops in, although the frame was long since won, you can look ahead to what's going to be a considerably more challenging quarter-final match with either Ding Junhui or Ali Carter, who do battle later.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 8.
It's all over. Zhou Jinhao showed a lot of potential, inevitably very rough around the edges though. Ronnie O'Sullivan, in contrast,